Alright, welcome back to Digi Bros, everybody.
Welcome back, Alack.
Holy hell, we just took like a 3-hour break from the last episode.
The Twilight Zone.
We went to, we got up because Victor had a stomach ache and was all out of it.
Yeah.
Probably still does have a stomach ache.
No, it's actually, now I just have acid reflux.
Just.
Yeah.
And our friends were here, Don, Son, and Mike, so we went to hang out with them. And then
we played Diablo 3.
We went to get shade from school and then come back, and they had to those guys decided to play Diablo 3 all night.
I
so
got
I
it
was
for
just
him as a
sitting around
birthday present. So
for
I might
like
as well
2
play
hours waiting for us to get back to Digi Bros.
Jade's excited to play 4-player.
So, Victor, it's time for us to dive into the topics we've prepared.
Ah!
You
Okay.
go first because you didn't talk for the last 2 episodes.
Alright,
So, get out your phone.
I'm gonna get out my handy dandy phone.
Both of us have been taking notes in our phone for Digi Bros topics.
Oh, yes. Gonna find the list.
You got real lucky with this cutscene timing.
Alright, what do I want to talk about first?
Pick one you can go on about for as long as possible.
Oh, I'm not ready.
That's quite a few topics.
Yes.
You really went all out. I think I have.
Oh, here's a
probably
fun
6
one.
or 7.
Okay. So, I was thinking the other day
Yes.
about how, you know, like now, everyone always jokes about how there's, like, old people don't understand the internet and all that shit.
Right.
And, like, you know, it's all full of young people. I'm like, well,
The
one
space
day,
book.
one day, the internet will be full of old people.
Yes.
Because those old people will be us.
Yes.
And I just like to imagine this internet world of like Tumblr is now for old people, and it's just like all these old people on it. And like, what is the next generation just gonna be like? Man, fuck that, fuck the internet. It's just full of old people.
I don't know if Tumblr will still
Like, that's
be
lame.
relevant in the
I
future.
doubt it will be, but
I think, I don't know. Social media is interesting because I think it's going in a different direction from where I would have thought. I think when Facebook was getting big, everyone thought it would move into a more centralized area, and that's what Google Plus tried to be.
yeah,
You know? Where, like, it was, like, one place that you could do everything, but people didn't like that.
Yes.
Because now people are moving to, like, the young people are moving towards social media that has its own personality. Tumblr has a personality. Like, it has a culture that is Tumblr culture,
Yeah.
you know? And, like, the people who are on there, like, I feel like most kids who are on Tumblr only really go on Tumblr.
Yeah.
You know, they don't use Facebook anymore. That's where their mom is, you know?
True.
So, like, people use Tumblr because they like the personality of Tumblr. They use
Yeah.
Twitter or whatever, you know. And I think social networking, instead of getting more central, might get more complex as people find
Yeah.
more stuff that's more specific to them. But what I would say, by the time we're old, like, on the level of I don't understand what the young kids are up to anymore,
Yeah.
old, the
I feel
difference
like
will be...
something completely different will have to
Well,
come around, or something will have like totally changed for us to not
I think
understand
what it will be is that we will be the generation that is afraid of completely integrating our bodies into computers.
Perhaps, yes.
And the generation that'll be kids will be totally all about, like, you know, when we get to the stage where you literally plug something into your neck and connect to the internet that way, you know, there'll be a generation of kids who completely gets that.
Yeah.
And there'll be us who are like, I still feel like, you know, human connection is, you know, like some degree of that, you know. Because that's how it always is. It's always, like, feeling like things are getting less human,
Yes.
you know, which has been throughout all time.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Was there anything else you want to talk about that topic? Or was that just a
No, I just thought it was
short-lived
fun,
topic?
you know? It was a fun topic. Just imagining that one day the internet might be like a majority of old people like us,
Right.
you know, who've been on it since they were young and are still doing that while everyone else has moved on.
And the kids are doing something new that we just don't get.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I will probably be one of those people who, throughout my life, is always kind of on the cusp of technology.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are old people like that.
Yeah.
There are, you know.
Exactly. Not everyone's a fucking
There are 70-somethings
dipshit who doesn't understand the
who
internet.
are on the internet.
We were just in a place today where it was like this old dude sitting on his phone, you know?
Right.
Like, I'm sure he's on fucking Facebook, like every other old person in the world.
Right.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I guess, like, our grandma, like, one of our grandmas doesn't use Facebook, but the other one is
super
her
on it,
life is
yeah.
Facebook. So I don't understand when people don't think that old people can understand the internet at all.
It's just it's a matter of how set in their ways they are, you know, because our Grammy, she's like a very like liberal-minded, open to new things, like, you know, type of person who and she's also more of a shut-in, more of like a lives far away from people, doesn't really go out of her house. So like the best way for her to connect with people is through the internet, you know. Whereas Mima, she is not open to any new ideas. Still has the same mindset she's had for 20 years now, if not more. And like and would rather drive to your house, you know. Mima will
send you, put a letter in your mailbox when she's already at your house.
Did she do that?
Dude, she always does that.
Really?
Yeah. She never mails those letters. She'll just put them in the mailbox. She would do that when she lived here.
Yeah.
It's weird.
She will drive an hour to our house to, you know, like, to do whatever she has to do, that even if it can be done online, you know. Although she'll usually do other stuff too. But yeah. So yeah, it's just like different approaches, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think Mima's age has to do with why she can't understand the internet. I think it's her.
Of course. I think
her
she's just being stubborn.
Right.
Like, Mom's always said she's been trained to use computers in multiple jobs she's had and just refuses to retain
she's like taken like a college class or something.
Yes.
Like she just doesn't understand.
She obviously doesn't want to learn.
Yeah.
Especially because it's so simple now. Like, I doubt she knows how simple it's become.
It's like you can literally look at a phone and there's a button that just is what it is.
It's like
it's a picture
I figured
of a phone.
She probably hasn't touched these things since like early 2000s.
But even if she did,
you know,
she would, like, the fact that it's a phone is what she doesn't get. Like, I don't think she understands the idea of interacting with an interface. Like, that's where she's lost at, you know? She doesn't get the idea of touching a screen to make a thing happen.
Yeah.
Just somehow doesn't resonate with her. But, yeah. Well,
boom.
That was one topic.
Okay.
You want to use another one?
Yeah, because I've got something similar, which is
okay.
All right, so I guess it starts with trying to think of what exactly inspired this idea. But me and Hope were kind of arguing about how, like, she doesn't think that we saw a commercial for a new Scooby-Doo show, and I was like, why do they keep making new Scooby-Doo shows? Why don't they just play the old Scooby-Doo, and everyone will like it anyways? Because, like, why would kids today not appreciate the old Scooby-Doo when, okay, we were kids in, like, the 90s watching old Scooby-Doo from, like, the 60s, and we got it, or, like, a lot of kids in our generation got it, so...
Well...
And then, like, Hope's like, well, you know, cartoons these days have a lot more going on, and, like, oh, they wouldn't appreciate, like, they just wouldn't get it. And I'm like, yeah, but why did we get it? Right. And kids these days wouldn't get it. Like, it would be the same thing.
I don't think kids wouldn't get it, but I do think they'd be bored by original Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. I mean, I was bored by original Scooby-Doo. Right. But it's like, it's not like everyone's gonna be that way.
I don't know.
There was a lot of kids in our generation who really loved Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, but, like, with our generation, we had a lot of different... Because Scooby-Doo had, like, a bunch of iterations even when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, you had... the original show, and then you had the new Scooby-Doo movies, which was, like, the ones that were, like, pop culture references in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then you had, like, you know, the fucking Scrappy-Doo shit and, like, all that stuff. And all that was the older stuff. Then you had the actual new movies, like, the first movie with the,
Then there was also different waves of, like, how young we were growing up with it. Where it's, like, at 10 years old, I probably didn't give a fuck about Scooby-Doo. But at 6 years old, I probably would have enjoyed Scooby-Doo, you know? And I wouldn't have noticed or cared in the difference between the shows.
Though. Most people I know, the Scooby-Doo that they are nostalgic for, like the one that they remember enjoying, is the first Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
Which came out in the 90s
that was a good movie.
when we were kids. Now think about what was distinct about that movie. The monster was real.
Yes.
That was the whole idea of the movie, was that going around to unmasking monsters had gotten old. It was old hat. You know, the whole opening song is like, oh, it's always a fake. We get it, you know, and then it turns out it's a real monster.
But the thing with that is that the monster being real isn't old hat if you've never seen original Scooby-Doo.
But that's the thing. Kids, like, everyone will have a knowledge of an old thing.
Yes.
You know, like I grew up with like knowledge of things before my time because other things have iterated on it, you know, like it's kind of like how we're always talking about how school in cartoons doesn't make sense because it's not like our generation, but as a result of that, we understand what 80s schools were like, you know, like through the parodies of 80s school movies.
And watching 80s school movies,
right.
you know.
But like,
and that's another thing that I was going to have branching off of this topic is the current generation is always afraid that the younger generation isn't going to grow up with like appreciating the same things, and I don't understand that because I'm like, I watched The Breakfast Club when I was like 12 and I loved it.
Right.
Like the new generation of kids is gonna watch old stuff and still appreciate it because it's not like it's gone anywhere. Like they're not gonna be missing it.
I do
you know?
think though, like I agree with you on one hand,
and
but on the other
it's just
hand,
like why would the next generation be ignorant of the last one? What I'm trying to say.
I think what happens is that the new shows that come out, they take the tropes of the old shows and they bend them. And when you grow up with shows that bent the tropes, then the tropes seem old. Like, if you grew up with Adventure Time, and then you watched a show that was like a normal cartoon, like, you know, from before Adventure Time, that normal cartoon is gonna seem like, what? Like, this seems so behind, like, what Adventure Time was doing. Like, there's so much less, you know, happening. So that's why more and more cartoons have to feel like Adventure Time. They have to feel more and more smart and like, you know, mold breaking, because, like, if you grew up with Scooby-Doo the movie as your first movie, and the whole joke is that the, you know, the monster in the mask is Old Hat, and then you watch the old show, it's gonna seem Old Hat. You know, you're gonna watch it, you're gonna go, oh, well, fucking, I already know it's gonna be a guy in a mask. The movie already made fun of this, you know, like, you grew up with the version that was fucking with the original, you know? So I do think there's some ground to the idea that the old stuff, especially if it's something that doesn't really hold up, which Scooby-Doo really doesn't. Like, old Scooby-Doo is, you know, it was just a, like, monster of the week, formulaic, like, trope thing. And so as soon as they start making Scooby-Doos that break the trope, then it stops being engaging, you know? Which, if you watch, like, that whatever that newest Scooby-Doo was from, like, a couple years ago.
In that regard, I understand. But if you had never seen any Scooby-Doos, then the old one would be just fine.
I mean, possibly. It really depends on who you are. Because I do know kids my age who grew up on older media and who can way more easily get into stuff like that, but not me. Because, like, I didn't grow up on older media, and I don't really like much older media. You know, like, you were talking about liking The Breakfast Club and shit, and, like, I've seen The Breakfast Club. It's okay. I'm not, like, it's not one of my favorite movies, you know? I'm not that into it. Like, because it was super tropic, and everything fucking parodied
Yeah, but it's really
you know?
good.
Yeah, but, like, it's the ideas of it have been expanded on, you know? I mean, like, personally, my favorite stuff is always pretty new. You know, like, whatever my favorite show is, it's always a new show. And it's not because...
I'm glad we've gotten this far, because that's an interesting difference between us, because I remember growing up, a lot of the stuff I loved was stuff that, like, Mom showed me from the 70s and shit.
I hated everything Mom showed me from the 70s.
There you go. That's a crucial difference between us. I've always liked the older stuff growing up, and so it's like I've never felt like, why would the new generation not appreciate the old shit? I appreciated the old shit.
Right. To me, new stuff is always taking old ideas and then doing more with it. And that's what I like. Like, my favorite show is Rick and Morty, because the whole show is taking every sci-fi idea and then putting them into a new context. You know, it's saying, like, well, here's, like, the Purge episode that just came out, you know? The whole point is
awesome.
they took the Purge, the idea of the Purge, and then they took it to this new logical extreme that never been before, you know? And so it feels fresh and new and like it's done something that nothing else has done. And so as soon as a show comes out that takes the tropes of Rick and Morty and then pushes them even further, I don't know how it'll be possible, you know?
The end all.
But at the same time, everything when it comes out feels like the end all. You know, like, how can they go farther than this? Especially Rick and Morty. How can you go farther than that? You know, but you know, we don't know when 4-dimensional TV starts coming out in 20 years. You know, or like you're fucking putting on a what's it called? Augmented reality headset and fucking doing some new shit.
Experiencing Rick and Morty for real.
Like new shit we can't even imagine right now.
Yes.
You never know. Things always evolve and iterate. For me, old stuff is always too slow.
Yeah.
It's always too.
I mean, that's really the slower pace is what separates
right.
things completely, and that's the main defense of the new generation won't be able to handle the slow pace.
Right. Which
I
like
don't know.
I mean that's why I have such a hard time getting into old anime. Is that it's always like
I understand it in some regards, but in others it's
right.
I don't know, not feeling it.
It's kind of like with an old show, the mere idea of it was enough.
Yes.
Like with Scooby-Doo, the mere idea of 5 kids solving mysteries in a cartoon had never been done, and therefore it was enough. You could keep making episodes about it and people would go, oh, this is brand new, I've never seen this before. But if you live in a world where there's 100 shows about kids, doing that, then you don't care.
Except we don't live in that world anymore.
I don't know.
Like well, after Scooby-Doo came out, there were 100 shows about kids doing that, but they're all old now. None of those even exist.
I mean, what I mean is like those shows, like okay, the Venture Brothers.
Yes.
The Venture Brothers is a show that took all those 70s shows that were satisfied with the mere idea, and then it just combined all the ideas.
Yes.
So it is sometimes
but then
it is Scooby-Doo,
without
sometimes
a background
it is Johnny
knowledge
Quest.
of those ideas, you wouldn't really appreciate them.
I haven't seen any of those shows.
Yeah, but you have a vague understanding of them from when you were a kid. You saw all those
because
shows.
I saw Venture Bros. Like a lot of those shows Venture Bros parodies I've never seen. Obviously I know the Johnny Quest parody and I know the Scooby-Doo parody,
ones.
but I don't know a lot of the crazy superhero stuff. But I get it. I see them parodying something and I go, oh, it must be, like there must have been a show like this. There must have been a character who was this guy and they're making the dark version of that guy. But as a result, I will never be able to take the show about just that guy seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it taken and twisted,
They're playing on like shows that were for kids in like the 70s and shit.
It's kind of like how...
But then kids couldn't watch the Venture Brothers and get jaded to those tropes.
Right.
So
I feel like, after like Watchmen, all comics had to have serious plots because they had made so ridiculous the idea of superhero that you can't take it, like, you can't just look at just a superhero and be like, oh yeah, no question, it's a superhero, whatever, it makes perfect sense. It's like, now you're thinking about it, now you're going, oh, well, superheroes, that concept doesn't make any sense. It would come with all kinds of bad problems if you tried to have superheroes, I think that's why so many people think Ava is a deconstruction, because the whole point of Ava, like, where they took the idea of 14-year-old pilot's mech and they went, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Now, of course, what people don't understand about mechs is that a lot of mech shows thought that was a terrible idea. Gundam thought it was a terrible idea. Gundam never presented piloting mecha as something Amuro wanted to do, or that it was like a wise decision to give him the mech. Which
it's
is
always
why
a problem.
People who don't know Gundam don't they think, oh, Ava's a deconstruction of mecha, and it's like, mecha was already subversive and dark. Like mecha was never just a sunshine and rainbows genre. But yeah, after watching Ava, you can't accept the idea of 14-year-old will just love the robot. He'll just get in and it'll be perfect. Unless they present it like Gurren Lagann, where they have the themes are strong enough that like you understand why the kid would pilot the robot.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, that's it for this episode of Digi Bros.
All right.
Yeah.
Woo!
Topics flying off.
Woo-hoo-hoo.